Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here and welcome to this week's episode of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel, you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are or who I am. I am a knife guy, knife user, knife collector, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all, assuming if you're watching this video, knife guys and gals in this super weird and crazy EDC and knife related world. And we all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff. What I like to do on this series is pick up knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers. In this case today, once again, these are all mine. And just sort of flip them and fidget with them while I talk about some of these things that, some of these topics that a lot of us experience. So, as I'm sure the title and thumbnail suggest, I literally just 30 minutes ago, first off, I woke up this morning to a notification that something was headed my way from a company that I recognized, and I immediately lit up because I realized that this was the notification that the custom that I have being built for me is finally shipped. And I'm honestly I'm amazed that it only took as long as it did. But it's been a few months. I've been daydreaming about this thing. I've just been enjoying the anticipation for it. But now it's really, you know, it's real. It's on the way. It's going to take a little bit. It's not coming from the United States. I have been dropping teeny weeny tiny little hints for a while now. But that's the final hint before it gets here. I also was sent a private video link so that I could see it. So I'm going to tell you guys right now. My plan is to do a live unboxing, and there is no way for me to give people a massive heads up. I will try, if I know that it's going to come in the next day, I will try to let people know this is when I'm going to do it. But there's also a chance that it will just show up because of how international tracking works. It doesn't always work correctly. There's a chance it'll just show up, and there is no way that I'm going to be able to let it sit there while I schedule the perfect time for an unboxing. So best thing that I can do is give people about it, like you know, if it ends up happening that way with no, you know, notification, it just shows up. People will get about an hour notice, and it will almost undoubtedly be a random live stream in the middle of the day, somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks from now. Perhaps sooner, I don't really know. I mean, it's hard to say with international tracking. You never know if it's going to take 2 weeks or 2 months to get to you. So I'm guessing about 3 weeks. We'll see. But I'm going to do a live stream so that we can all experience it together. I have seen it, but I have not handled it yet. So seeing it in person is very different than seeing a picture or video or something like that. Let me just say, I am so... Seeing it now, the anticipation is even worse, or better, however you want to say that. It is incredible, and in my eyes, it's incredible because it's what I wanted. They just made such an unbelievable piece, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So this will be a big, you know, this is a big moment for the channel because it's my first actual custom. And being somebody who has been a knife person for a long time, I've climbed the ladder starting with, you know, your less expensive stuff and going to a little bit more. And you know, not everybody, it's like we've talked about a million times, not everybody climbs the same ladder. Some people find their comfort zone around the $100 mark. Some people find it around the $500 mark. Generally speaking, with the amount that I'm, like what I'm comfortable spending on a knife is right around the $600 mark, something around there. I found, you know, there's a lot of knives out on the table that are right around that area. And that's, you know, where I've found, you know, the most comfort. I've definitely spent more and enjoyed stuff, right? But not necessarily any more. For example, like I love the Rockstead Higo 2. It's a really expensive knife. I don't necessarily enjoy it that much more than my my dark horse, which is, like if you're gonna buy it brand new from a retailer, it was way less than what the Rockstead costs. But I have never touched anywhere close to the area of the knife that's coming in because of people like Dr. Frankie. Absolutely, Dr. Frankie had a huge role. I mean, just watching his content and the knives that he enjoys owning, I've always just drooled over stuff like that. And it's always just been this area of like total. I had no experience with it. I didn't understand any of it, the materials or anything like that. And I was just like, this is the ether of the knife world. It's just, I'm only ever going to be able to experience this stuff through channels like Dr. Frankie. It's also because of my friend Scott, who definitely, with good intentions, pushed me down this path. Definitely. And then also, Nick Shabazz also had a bit of a role in it. But I'm so happy that it worked out this way. I'm so happy that my first custom is going to be what it is. I have to watch what I'm saying because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. And there'll be people guessing, right? It's fine. I mean, it'll come down to the final day. Some people will guess it right, and some people won't. It's fine. But not everybody's gonna care either. It's only like 10% of the people who are watching right now even care. But it'll be fun for me, and it'll be fun for the people who do care. I think it's a good idea, considering the history of the channel and how much I've blown this up, to do a live stream so we can all experience it together. I think that'll be really fun. It's weird dealing with this feeling because it feels like I've been walking down a 10-year path, right? Even though I was not aware of the custom knife world, right? Or the really, really expensive version of the knife world, or section of the knife world. I wasn't aware of it until about 3 years into the journey. It's around the time that I discovered that knives like Hinderer knives existed. Right? Once you figure out that there are knives that cost $200, $300, $400, $500, very quickly you step through the doors of, oh, holy crap, it gets way, way more expensive than this. It's not like you discover Hinderers and then 2 years later you discover that multi-$1,000 custom knives exist. No, it's pretty quick. So I remember 3 years into the knife journey, 2 to 3 years, discovering that Hinderer knives existed, right? And then so the whole idea, I remember, I've said this before, thinking that Benchmade knives were the peak, right? I discovered Benchmade knives and I was like, these must be the greatest knives that exist, right? And then I stuck around that territory for a little bit, not really doing too much with forums. Right? I discovered Benchmade knives just through messing around on the internet, and then we had a local dealer, and I thought, well, I don't need to go any further than my local dealer if they've got them right here in town, right? So that's what I did. I bought a Benchmade knife, and that was my best knife for like a year or a year and a half. It was a Benchmade Barrage. Black Tanto Benchmade Barrage. Spent $140 on it, maybe 150. I probably paid too much money for it. 154 cm, which I was like, man, 154 cm, right? But then, so yeah, like once I discovered Hinderer knives and in the world of custom knives, it just felt like this, how crazy would it be, like maybe my end goal in, because I had kind of decided at that point, like I'm definitely into knives, reading about, other people's experience with the folding knife world on forums, because at that point I had discovered the forums and the message boards, things like that. I was like, these people have been like, they've invested like 20, 30 years into this hobby and definitely seem to be exhibiting the same emotional response to this stuff as me. So I feel like this is going to be a part of me forever. I'm always going to be a knife person. And I think it would be really cool if, just once in my life, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, I acquire a custom knife, right? So it's kind of like just a daydream, because I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. How am I going to say, of all the things that you are taught to save for in life, first and foremost, we're taught to save, we're taught to invest properly, or at least I was, to buy a home, to buy a vehicle, and to make sure that you're putting your money into things that are either of the utmost necessity, right? Now, I'm not talking about luxury vehicles. I'm just talking about a vehicle that you would use to, get yourself from A to B, get yourself to work or wherever you need to go. But to put money into areas that will benefit you as you progress through life, right? So what part of my life has room for a multi-$1,000 custom knife, even if it does appreciate in value? It's really hard for me to set aside. The irony being is that the amount of money that I have spent on knives between thinking that and now is way more than it would have cost, right? That's the thing that we all find out slowly over time. The amount of money you end up spending, if you end up being like me, not everybody ends up like me, but if you end up like me and you end up being a collector, you end up inevitably spending double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, dectuple on knives than it would have cost you to just buy that ultimate custom knife that you saw, right? The funny thing is a lot of, I mentioned this in my my video, I can't remember which one it was. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I did a review on, you guys haven't seen it yet, it's scheduled for way down the road, when I was talking about the Benchmade Gold Class knives, right? So the Benchmade Gold Class knife that I reviewed was the Tengu Gold Class, and that's a $550 knife, right? The immediate emotional response from most people when they look at that knife is, oh my god, it's overpriced because Benchmade equals overpriced, and I look at that, and it's pocket jewelry, and it's overpriced, and I'm mad about it, right? So many of the people, you know, like a lot, and I mentioned this in that video, I said a lot of what you're going to see down in the comments section is that's so ridiculously overpriced, nobody needs that, and amongst those people are going to be people saying things like, no knife should ever be more than $50, nobody ever needs to spend more than $50 on a knife, and the hilarious irony is that so many of the people saying that, whether they made the $50 remark or not, so many of the people saying that are collecting knives. The amount of money that they have spent on just budget knives vastly clears the cost of that Benchmade Gold Class knife, right? A lot of the people saying that basically they may have purchased 20 budget knives, totaling the value of their collection, if it's just budget knives, to over $1,000. Double the cost, nearly double the cost of that Benchmade Gold Class. And I think you could make an argument, even though it's like, well, I have more than one knife, though, so I have more. And we're still in the realm of completely and totally unnecessary, right? If you're watching this video, if you're collecting knives, if you're in the knife enthusiast world, you, whether you want to admit it or not, are a part of the totally unnecessary knife world. It's how you justify it to yourself, right? People who can justify spending $1,000 on 20 $50 budget knives will convince themselves that they've made a smarter purchase than the person who spent $550 on a single Benchmade Gold Class. But what it comes down to is, does it feel justified to you, and does it bring you joy? Do you feel good, right? You may not personally feel good about spending $550 on one Benchmade Gold Class, right? But maybe feel 10 times better in your mind about spending $1,000 on 20 $50 budget knives, whereas the person who bought the Gold Class knife maybe feels just as good about their single purchase, right? So it's all, you know, it's just your own perspective. But anyways, that's the funny thing there is that, yeah, we all kind of, a lot of us who end up collecting do that. And I find out too late that it's better for me, even though I've ended up hoarding a lot of knives. It probably would have been better with a lot of the funds that I put towards knives, right? Because back then I had no idea that I was going to invest not only, you know, the total cost of one custom knife, but triple, quadruple, quintuple that on just collecting knives and understanding what it is that brings me joy in this hobby. So I spent so much money, invested so much money in a hobby to figure out where I need to put money to get joy. And the crazy thing is that it's like, oh, well, hindsight's 20/20, but it also evolves. I will evolve past this point and inevitably just keep spending more money. So in some cases, it's like, well, you coulda, shoulda, woulda, spent a fraction of it to get this and saved yourself all that money. You don't really end up saving that money because what you end up doing is just moving forward anyway and chasing the next level of euphoria, right? So I think the important thing is that the path so far has brought you joy, right? And that wherever you are, you're reaching a new level of healthy excitement. If you've dumped your life savings on your knife hobby, then it's probably not super healthy, right? But if you have a way to get everything else, all the necessities in your life sorted out and funded, and you can still save money, it's like I've always said, the only reason that this feels justified to me is because everything else that I've got going on is being paid for, money is being set back, and then I have funds set aside. Basically, the channel allows me to do this. The channel allows me to generate extra funds to enjoy my hobby and then share it with you guys, which is great because it's a self-generating system, right? People come to enjoy the content and everybody wins. But that's the only reason that I feel okay about it. You know, if I was taking every single paycheck that I made and dumping 70% of it, or even honestly 20% of it into folding knives, that would be a pretty toxic reality for me. It wouldn't end up well later in life, right? I want to, you know, I need to have an intact retirement fund. Even, you know, as a 34-year-old, that's something that I have to make sure that all of that is in place. But that's important to me, right? I'm not saying that everybody should think that way. I'm saying this is how I think. I think it's healthy to go about it this way, but this is self-justification, right? This is reaffirmation, like, yeah, it's okay. Go ahead and enjoy this. So far, I have enjoyed this path. I might have spent too much money. In fact, I definitely spent too much money, but I feel like it's an inevitability getting into something like this, that you're going to spend too much money, and there's always going to be circumstances where you say, I should have just set aside X amount and gone with this in the first place. Arguing with myself, I think it's good that I went ahead and spent time figuring out what it was that I really wanted, because I would have inevitably gone ahead to spend more money. So here we are, or here I am, and I'm saying we, including everybody, down this 7 to 10 year path, right? 10 years if you're counting my entire involvement with the knife world, or 11, it's been 11 or 12 years now. 7 years of talking about the amount of time that I've been aware of custom knives and actually been lusting over them. And this thing is finally coming in. And I'm so excited. It will absolutely be a pinnacle of the collection. And there's some other special things about it that I'm going to share with you guys. Does that mean that I'm going to rush into the world of custom knives and just be an exclusive like custom knife channel? No, not at all. I can't afford to do this. I can't afford to like be exclusively a custom knife channel. And I still find joy with budget knives, like finding, you know, value at different price points and things like that. But it feels good to add this to my collection. And looking back at your knife collection, right? A lot of it, what most people see is their history. Their own, this is how I got here. It doesn't matter if the knives in your collection are just your 3 most recent purchases and you had to sell everything else to get those knives. Those knives, whatever they are in your knife collection, and no matter how recent the acquisition was, it represents the path that led to that point. So you see your own personal history in your collection. And for me, it's a good feeling. It's nice to see like, oh, this is how I arrived to the acquisition of an Ultratech, and it serves a very specific purpose, and I get a very specific amount of joy out of that knife, despite it not necessarily being anything special. It's an expensive knife at $290, but it's like there are specific memories associated with the initial acquisition of that knife, right? As is the case with everything that I've got out here and everything that I've got in my collection. And it's fun for me to look back on that because I have such specific memories tied to this stuff, such detailed memories. It makes me feel like this entire journey, the time that's invested was well spent, right? If you have no memory of it, if you're just gliding through life and nothing is, you know, there's nothing that's enjoyable enough to you that it creates a cemented memory, then it feels like there are lots of things that I've done in my life, a lot of ventures that I've gone on that ended up just being wastes of time, you know, different career paths, and nothing was memorable because nothing was enjoyable. So when I look back on it, it just feels like a void of time, a waste of time. The knife enthusiast part of my life feels like anything but a waste of time because I've gotten so much joy out of it. And obviously, a lot of this information has stuck in my mind so well, in fact, that I decided to create 2,000 uploads documenting all of it. So yeah, I love this. And it's almost like the joy of this knife world is it's reaching this new peak, and it just makes me that much more enthusiastic about making content and sharing it with you, even though for some people this is probably all coming off as one giant flex, which is really not meant to be. I just like sharing this with people. The fun of this is, I mean, I get my own personal joy out of it, but largely the joy that I get out of all this stuff is sharing it with other people. And I know that that's something that a lot of you, are, you're going to agree with me there. That's why you're here interacting with me and the other people in the comment section, the other people in the Instagram community, the Discord community, or the Blade Forms community, the Facebook knife community. There's so many different corners of this, right? It's because we enjoy the social interaction of this. It is fun to sit by yourself on the couch at night, watching your favorite Netflix show and just messing around with your knife and enjoying the intricate elements, right? But at some point, you just kind of want to talk with somebody else. Hey, I like this. Do you like this? Yeah, I like this too. Oh, how'd you get there? Oh, for me, it's just fun, right? We like it. Oh, this is the result of being completely and totally overwhelmed by an acquisition that represents a new pinnacle. It's almost like the whole thing is starting over. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this really weird and all over the place episode of The Knife Guy, but then again, they're all pretty much that. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you want to be a part of that live stream when I unbox it for everybody, subscribe, turn your notifications on. I will do my best to notify everybody via Instagram, the YouTube community tab, Discord if you're a part of Discord, and all of that. Try to get as many of you guys aware as possible if you're really wanting to watch it, but your best bet is to have notifications on and be following, subscribed in as many different areas as you can be. And if you don't care, that's fine too. Thanks for watching the video anyway. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that middle complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.